Hi, I'm gonna do a reading on Bill Hader. Like one time, I don't know what year that was. I'm gonna say like 2014 or something like that. And he was at it was during Just for Laughs, and I was walking through this hotel lobby across the street from where all those people were performing to have a meeting with like a pitch meeting with CBC comedy television, whatever. And I passed by Bill Hader, and I presume his wife, and his voice was so like I don't know if he was in the Taco Town skit or whatever, but like I think he was anyway. I'm a big fan of that. And then anyway, so I was like, I didn't want to bother them because I didn't want to bother his wife and stuff. But I was like really impressed with how resonant his voice was, and it was so resonant. It's like it could be used to like crumble concrete or something. Like it was really the most resonant voice I've ever heard. So that was cool to like walk by him and stuff. But anyway, like appreciation of his work aside, I'm just gonna do a psychic reading. The first images I get are from like where he grew up. And like, I don't know if he was around horses or like just, nature and they kind of quiet life or something. Something to do with like also like really good like home cooking or just like the stability of home, so the simplicity of life, like it's satisfying. And from this place of like not feeling completely content, just in terms of his personal aspirations and stuff, just projecting forward. I see him projecting forward into like, I guess, the future, quote unquote, like projecting his energy. And it sort of looks like a long triangle, like a slanted triangle that's like going out, and it's like full of like his, like if you think of ideas in light or something like that, it's kind of like that, like a lit kind of projected triangle. So it's not really like someone who is led by outside forces. It's like an inner force that he's gonna like impose himself on the world, kind of feeling like in in his own way, and not to do harm, but just like, I'm doing this, in an improbable setting, because he's not like where those things take place. Like it's all fine and good to be like talented in a small town and stuff, but like at some point your work might have to like be in the place where the commercial aspect of that work, is going on, like whether that's New York, Atlanta, LA, like what, I don't know, the internet. I don't know. But when he started, like there was no like proper internet, so which I know well because I'm old, and like I saw computers and the internet through every stage, and it was like I tell my kids, like, I wish I had just like lived on a beach for 20 years and waited for technology to like just be right, instead of being frustrated waiting for like layers on a video to render for like 4 hours and stuff. Okay, so back to Bill Hader. I feel like through his personal vision and quest, he wanted to like bring some joy and stability, and it feels like a little small capsule like to his parents, whether that's just like hey, your mortgage is paid for, or like you have like a small stipend to like survive on, like here you go, like something that's like a proper gesture that's not like crazy over the top, you know, not like a mega mansion or whatever, because it wouldn't suit the personalities of his family, because they get this notion of just being satisfied at like meeting the needs, like, you know. Okay, and then I'm getting this like, I don't know if it, okay, so like I'm getting this sort of Los Angeles friend that he might have met like early on in his career, who was really in his ear, like, oh, you should do this. And while that person was like amusing and maybe meant well, there was more like them trying to harness him on their voyage to, and it feels like they wanted to be like in Malibu or that general area. Like they had specific goals on like what they wanted their career to like output, which would be like being living with the stars or something like that. Anyway, so, but I feel like on Bill Hader's side, like it was really confusing and like time wasting, and like it was sort of like taking like a 5-year pause on like what he really wanted to do, just sort of having this like constant chatter interaction with this person who in the end the feeling I get is like the best they got was like to like have a relationship with someone who, you know, had a property like that, but like it might not have lasted more than 5 years or something. Anyway, I don't want to read the other person, but okay, Bill Hader. I just had spirulina, so I'm like paranoid my teeth are all blue or like because that is really stains. So if my teeth look green or blue, it's because of that spirulina. Let's try not to laugh. Okay. Back to Bill Hader. Yeah, so I feel like he enjoyed people, let's say when he was growing up and he was a teenager, but they didn't like totally get him. Like, you know, let's say you're living in a town and like, you know, you go to school, you have friends, you date people, you meet at the restaurant, like where teenagers go. And like some people are satisfied with that. And other people are like, oh my God, like I got to get out of here and start my career. So like not a lot of people I feel like related to his level of like drive for something that wasn't like obvious, like, yeah, because like when you're following your inspiration, you're just like, what? Like it sounds like literally in your imagination, which is sort of like your like little dream factory, you know, where you can make stuff happen, but it's like, you know, it's not like physical yet. So, okay. I feel like one message or like, you know, contribution he's making is by example, he's someone who's retains his humility He's not trying to be like larger than life or superior to anyone. He's just able to stay like uh, himself, like authentic, and still achieve great things and make friends with like countless people and do all these wonderful activities. Well, maybe there's 15% like regrettable, bit like live and learn or whatever. But so so he's like this example of like, you can do it too. Like just carry on and trust yourself, because he does kind of stand out in that regard where he's not like, how like Jennifer Lawrence will like butt into somebody else's interview or like trip on the, like, or what, doing things like that to like that seem a bit like extra. Like he's not doing that kind of stuff. He's just already satisfied with whatever reception he's received, and he's not looking like to make that larger. He's just wanting to continue to work and develop and make people happy, either to work with him or stuff, or just let me just like look into that a bit more. I got like the phrase like carry the flame, but I'm asking myself like, which flame is this, and like from whence it came.
You didn't end up giving it to Sasha.
You can have that. I didn't want to insult her taste in music. That's why. Okay. All right. So, okay, let's go back. Okay. So, like, let's say, okay, the flame I was talking about. Let's say where he came from, like his ancestry has a certain vibe, and it's like practical. It's like friendly. It's hardworking, and then he's just like that's what he's carrying into these different like realms of work and places, and like how like different cities have sort of mutual agreements on, okay, we're gonna, like, let's say Paris is like collective agreement is like, okay, let's make this beautiful and like perfectionist and this and that, and there's a certain vibe and everybody's kind of like doing that. So like LA has a certain collective agreement that's like questionable. I don't know, but like personally I really like if you imagine that it's just you just arrived there and no one lives there, the land and the ocean are quite beautiful, like the Emerald Hills and all that stuff. So like he's bringing his sort of ancestral vibe into these different places, and it's like let me just look at that more. Yeah, and it's like people can say like, oh, you're doing it wrong, or like we don't do it this way here, but he's sort of quietly continuing to do what he wants to do. So you could say he's an amazing diplomat. Like, he could have had have a good day. Okay. Could have had like a career in politics, like, Bill Hader for president kind of thing. Yeah, because he could like disarm people, with humor and stuff, but like also seems bright. I feel like his like romantic life is like it's all. Again, I find this a bit relatable. The energy that I'm picking up, where it's like you want to spend time with people, but like spending time with people, you have to kind of like unpack all of their troubles and like it's just like a lot. It's actually a lot of work. So it's like, is it worth that? Like that? You know what I mean? It's like I want to visit the Grand Canyon, but the Grand Canyon is full of cliffs and it's kind of dangerous, like technically a hazardous area that happens to be very beautiful. So it's kind of like that where, you know, like while some person that he might be find beautiful and attractive, he's fully aware that they're also kind of like another version of the Grand Canyon where it's like, what am I getting into? Where does this river lead? Like, will I ever get out? You know, um, and then it can also feel kind of lonely in that sort of, not to take the Grand Canyon metaphor too far. Sorry, my eyes always tear up when there's like when I'm not sleeping. And so yeah, it's just like, how did I get in here and how am I going to get out? Like kind of like a bit of anxiety in regards to that, but like at the same time, it's like I know people are great. I know love is great. I like, whatever. But I think like what feels more solid to him is like this career he's building and just like sort of more lighthearted friendships, things that don't like just take him fully off of his like personal road. But now I'm picking up this other energy that's interesting. I feel like there's someone maybe who's like famous, maybe in the same industry as him. It feels like maybe an actress who is like hell-bent on like, I'm gonna be with him. And right now they're just like they know each other, but like it's like I would say it's not a good idea to be manipulative or plan ahead like that so much. Like it's okay to like somebody, but you kind of have to leave it to God to like Tetris everything, right? So I kind of feel like I hope he's good at boundaries. Because I just feel like this person, it's like, oh, thanks for doing all that work. Now I'm gonna like prosper because of it. Like classic like gold digger, I guess you could say. But it feels like it's someone who's already well known, but that doesn't mean they're doing good work right now. But like they seem to be wealthy and privileged and known and like can get a good table and stuff like that. But they don't have a lot of their own ideas. They're just good at sort of coming into a room and like all eyes are on them but like what are you bringing to the table kind of thing. So I would just that's sort of like a heads up to him to like beware of someone who's like super big personality, charismatic, like powerful person. Like you don't have to date them because if you don't want to. The energy I feel like he could put into like affection and like attention and stuff that would have gone to some girlfriend or whatever. He's raising some kids, so it's like really focusing on the task at hand. They're like being not leaving everything to nannies and everything, doing that work himself. Because you can learn a lot just in like one car ride home from school. You know, it's like there's a million and one little bonding opportunities just by spending time. So, okay. I feel like there's some like tension with maybe his ex-wife. Like it feels like someone who's close and who's also between him and his kids. Like so in that uh, energy sphere. So whether it's like some unresolved frustration over stuff, but it really has more to do with her own like life plan and you know, if you're a parent of multiple children, you know, obviously it's taking up a good amount of your time for, you know, 20 years. And so maybe there's some frustration on that level for her. Like she might like obviously love her kids, but it's like it's taking the time that would otherwise go to, you know, other projects or her work, or maybe she's having I want to say it exactly right. I just want to see how this frustration is like affecting, because this reading is about Bill Hader. I don't want to get sidetracked. So I just feel like there's some communication that can feel a bit sharp or, you know, draining between them regarding like things that they need to talk about, whether it's like parenting, co-parenting, whatever. But it's not like a you give me life kind of conversations, like, you know what I mean? So it can feel draining. I feel okay, and I feel like there's someone on Bill Hader's team, like in terms of his business side, who isn't that great. So if you're considering like replacing someone, do that. I feel like he's aware of the fact that like making something big is difficult, but worth it, you know? So it's really like he's not afraid of getting dirty. It's like I'm gonna crawl through the mud, you know, being rained on, but I'm gonna get there, you know, I'm gonna get to the finish line and like get the prize kind of thing. So he doesn't have like high expectations of people and their behaviors, but he knows like you have to work with people to make something cool happen in terms of making shows with more than one character. Okay. Okay, so I just want to look at his like life purpose kind of stuff. What is that? Okay. That's such a weird vibe. Like, okay, I just want to. Okay, it's hard to describe this, but it's like there's this very specific energy that feels like it has like, you know how his show Barry has like violent scenes. It's kind of like that where you're like if it, I don't know if this makes sense. And like okay, I'll just say what I pick up. Right now the show is kind of violent. I feel like he's gonna possibly make some project that's like even more so, or like I just want to say it right. Wait. At the same time, I don't want to look at this energy that much. Like personally, I don't like scary movies or anything. Like I can only name like 2 horror films I've ever seen, and those were by accident, like when I was a kid, when there was just like 3 channels. So or like 13 channels. Okay. What is that? Okay, it's so weird. I mean, okay. It's sort of a melange of like extraterrestrial mixed with like people being violent. It's like a really strong message. It's sort of like, you know how Logan's Run. I hope they didn't do a remake of that. But anyway, I'm talking about the one in the 70s or um you know how it's kind of like, it's like this dystopian movie where there's like a bit of violence and there's like kind of like it's futuristic, you know, it's both grounded but also like what, so it's kind of like that, but it's like to the max. And I don't know if maybe it's because technology is improving and it'll be like people might not go to the movie theater anymore unless they're like really retro, and people put on like a complete like, or maybe they're also sitting in a chair. It's just like your whole environment is like surrounding you with the experience of like you're in the movie. I don't know, I'm like a dinosaur, so like I know some of this stuff exists now, but like it'll be more accessible somehow. So it's really like you're in the movie, and that makes it like 10 times scarier when all this stuff is going on in the pretend television show or movie or whatever. Um, so it had the impact it has on the viewer is just like to the max. So it's one thing to just like sit back and watch a tiny screen of Barry and just go like, ooh, like look away. You can't really look away in this technology because you're like so VR, like you're in it. And so maybe it's like a project that is specifically made for virtual reality where there's some like kind of alien, like, whatever that's called, space, some, and also like, scary chase scenes where like the viewer is like in a part of the movie. Anyway, so it kind of feels like he'll do a project like that in the future that will be well known. So it's kind of like, okay, wait, but I want to see something like that I personally like about this project. Let me look at the energy. I mean, at best, there's some scenes maybe where, like I was saying at the top of the reading, like being on the plains with like horses and just, there's like calm parts too, where it's like you're really for people that don't have access to the countryside or like horses or just to be chill in the country, like there will be a scene like that will, because uh he's kind of telling his own story through these far out stories, Okay. I want to, I guess, what else is there in terms of life purpose? I feel like, he'll do a good job with his kids, and one of his kids will be well known also in the limelight, I'm not gonna get too deep into like his various kids. I don't think it's like a good idea to do a public reading on people under the age of 21 anyway. Just like let them have peace, you know. Okay, just like final thing. You know, I feel like he has a lot of like fans and stuff who want to know his secrets and stuff. And in his mind, it's like, listen, if you have $15 and you want to make a show, like spend that $15 on making a show. Like, don't talk to me about it. Like, start your process with whatever means you have. And it's not like use all your money up. Don't use your grocery money up for like making films and stuff, of course. But like, just like some people join, like, there's like a really like bassy sound. Okay, it left. It was like a really loud truck. Okay. Like, you know, like sketch comedy stuff like that. You don't need any equipment other than yourself to join like a group like that. Even if you make one up in your own town, you know, maybe even better because you'll be making more original stuff because you're like disconnected from what people say is like the right way to do stuff or like what is funny. Yeah, so it's like the best way to kind of be his fan is to like make your own stuff and be authentic because like trying to talk to him directly like won't satisfy your need to make films. um okay, I need the last just like looking at his energy. I mean, as a distance healer and stuff, it looks like he could use a bit of healing. Some like to sort of shake off some of the drab, like, or you know, if things had been difficult with this person or that person, it's like he's still carrying on, you know, but there's a bit of like dust, you know, on energetically. I think just like how he started his career with just like a vision that he projected into the world, to have like a wonderful love life that he wants, he will have to like do the same thing where even though he's surrounded by people and like there's a lot of beautiful people around him and everybody likes him, or he has to start with him and his own energy and just to really feel that feeling of like what he likes and just let that like give that sort of life and like energy and love and just like, you know, I love love and like I love being in love with someone who's like kind and like gives me the space I need to be me and etc. You know, all the whatever it is that he qualities he likes about being in a relationship. And just to hold that thought, not like obsessively hold that thought, but just interact with that and then just sort of give it to God and like live your life, and then maybe you'll be surprised like someone will turn a corner and just be like, you know, great for him. Instead of thinking of it like visiting the buffet at Caesar's Palace and go like, oh, okay, I'll have this and a bit of this, like you need to be approach he needs to approach his love life from an inspired place rather than just sort of taking, you know, what's out there physically, if that makes any sense. because, like it or not, like I don't know if he says he's spiritual or not, like, or if he believes in God or not. But like from what I can see, he really trusts his intuition, and to me, an intuition is, having connection to like what people call spirit, which is like a kind of multi-dimensional, every direction of time information center. Like it's like really cool. And so, which is, anyway, I could go on about that in another video or not. But anyway, he's spiritual as far as I can see. Okay. Yeah, and I'll just end with, I saw some interview with him where he imitated someone from Toronto, and I thought it was a good, because most people get Canadian accents like totally wrong, but he did a good job mimicking that. So, is there any final message? I feel like he doesn't like it when people like invade his space. So like I like don't go looking for him, or like don't try to like find his address, or like just if he's doing good work and you like his work, like give him space to be him and live his life so he can make more cool work. Don't like pencil it into your schedule to like go find him or something. I feel like that's the last message. So I hope you enjoyed this reading on Bill Hader, and I hope you have a good day, and I'll talk to you some other time.